Hi there, and welcome to Celeb Hut. Alright, you all truly need to get in on this right now in light of the fact that Brasher Gray's fans recently spilled, and there is some crazy show encompassing it. Brasher's not staying silent about nothing, and he directly pointed fingers at Diddy, asserting that Diddy is the explanation that he needed to continue Just Fans' course, since Diddy wrecked his life and left him destitute. The charges against Diddy simply continue stacking up and getting more insane each time Brasher is prepared to recount his actual story. And it's not looking great now, assuming you're thinking about what in heaven's name happened to Brasher Gray and how he went from featuring Domain, which was one of the large big shows, at the opportunity to opening a main fans account where he posts grown up happy, is something that we didn't anticipate seeing yet. Hello, here we are. And as indicated by Brasher, this has Diddy's hands on top of it currently. We've heard murmurs regarding Diddy's supposed shenanigans with Brasher before. However, this is the first time Brasher is laying everything out. How about we simply say it sort of makes sense why he's presently running a main fan account and basically living on the edges of Hollywood. Brasher is one of the breakout stars in Realm, and fans have been scratching their heads about how things never took off for him. After that, it turns out his takeoff wasn't precisely by decision. Purportedly, a few top dogs like Diddy constrained him out and poked him towards Just Fans. After Domain wrapped up, everybody had high expectations for Brasher Gray's profession, yet circumstances didn't work out true to form. When Brasher was a young person, he met Charlie Mack, who might later turn into his administrator, utilizing this Hollywood association. Charlie scored Brasher a web-based tryout for Realm, and presto, Brasher handled the job of Hakey Lion on quite possibly one of the most sizzling shows on television at the time. Half a month after that, Charlie acquainted Brasher with, in all honesty, Will Smith, and they hit it off in a coach-mentee sort of way. Do you think having Will Smith in his corner would be an enormous lift for Brasher? Well, it turns out that, not really supposedly, Brasher will acquainted Brasher with Diddy on the grounds that Brasher fantasized about being a rapper and will need to assist him with breaking into the music scene. Looking back, this ought to have been an enormous warning. Brasher most certainly ought to have run in the other direction. However, in those days, nobody realized the dearly held secret's rasher idea he was protected and accepted by Diddy would make him into the following enormous star given Diddy's clout as the proprietor of Awful Kid Records and his tight relationship with Will Smith for setting. There have been murders for more than 20 years recommending that Diddy and Will Smith were hush along with various industry insiders, blaming them for some panky with different men. The truly obscure part, however, is the claim that they did unspeakable, non-consensual demonstrations to different men in the business who, ignorant of those dull bits of gossip, thought he was in safe hands, expecting a major break that never entirely came. Alexis Arquette, who knew Will on an individual level, spilled the tea that Will's most memorable union with Cherie Zampino finished on the grounds that Cherie got him in bed with the man Alexis composed when Jada emerged as gay and her facial hair spouse conceded his most memorable marriage. Finished when she strolled into him overhauling his friendly benefactor Benny Medina. At that point, I will pay attention to him. She was his most memorable spouse, which paid off. Panther rightly came through with a much more succulent tattle, guaranteeing that she would have illicit relationships with numerous more youthful men in the business. As per her, he played this coach card, but at that point, it transformed into an out-and-out relationship show. Leaving these folks completely, she shook and thought about who she named as one of his Brashers, and his young fellows had gone out shouting to move away from them in their mentorship. Resigned plants Brasher Dark went out shouting at August, the one in particular that remained, and I surmise he was truly debilitated. He wanted to do something that makes you can't help thinking about what sort of tutoring Will was doing with Brasher, and afterward, he apparently connected him with DY for some music coaching. However, Brasher's music profession never popped off, even with two of the greatest names in the game supporting him. I mean, assuming you have Diddy and Will Smith in your corner and in your profession, there's certainly some obscure business continuing, and we should not fail to remember that Diddy has been scrutinized by the federal authorities for purportedly getting physically involved with more youthful men without the assent of the express men, as indicated by reports during a post-op interview meeting with government agents. James Roseman, the music supervisor turned cocaine head honcho, was purportedly interrogated regarding the sexual inclinations of performers, including whether Shady D was having private associations with underage young men, as indicated by a U.S. region court documenting that it was only after Cassie's claim dropped that Diddy got called out for genuine Cassie spilled everything, saying that Diddy had a thing for male escorts and would make her join Joe in these wild oddities watching, or in any event. Getting involved herself. Cassie's claims gave different casualties the mental fortitude to approach from that point forward. We've heard from a few group presently like Maker Little Pole, who definite how Diddy supposedly meddled with him, and surprisingly, urged others to do a similar it sounds a ton like what he purportedly did to Brasher Wright, and discussing Brasher after Domain wrapped his life just spiraled. Some say it was his own decision, yet Bounty accept he was carrying on a direct result of what went down in the butt. Cenis, we should be genuine something like that. Wreck with anybody's head yet after Domain. Brasher dropped a few tunes that were becoming showbiz royalty. He was preparing for a visit, yet out of the blue. It was like he got repudiate from the entire scene and film roles evaporated and the music. Business would have rather not contacted him, and his tunes vanished from the wireless transmissions in those days. People said he scoured a few top dogs the incorrect way by not playing their game, prompting him his own exile. Yet presently reality's emerging, and it's looking obscure. His trial left him severely screwed up, very much like Panther Wright said about Will Smith. Recall when she got down on Will for apparently coaching fellows into wrecked circumstances. Better believe it, Brasher was certainly stirred up and begun carrying on purportedly. That is the reason Bryshere was stirred up and begun carrying on himself. Back in July 2020, there was this wild scene where Brasher's better half Candace ran into the roads halting people and asking for help. She said she was a survivor of DV and her better half was getting forceful with her. One great Samaritan took her to the police. And that is the point at which she dropped the bomb and guaranteed that she was Bryshere's significant other. Great evening. Gratitude for going along with us. Up first this evening, we're following Letting the Cat Out of the Bag and the capture of Brasher Dark, one of the stars of the hit show Domain. This evening we're seeing long stretch of new video from his July capture that finished with his better half waving to police and letting them know the entertainer had her for a really long time inside their goody home. She told the police a miserable story of Brasher purportedly laying his hands on her in any event, stifling her until she passed out. She guaranteed their contention had raised when she faced him about how he had been undermining her, and this sent him into a rap. After that entire show, Brasher got hit significantly more. Enthusiastically, he had to deal with lawful offense irritated attack penalties, in addition to misdeeds for attack, and scattered lead. His mugshot circulated around the web, and people via virtual entertainment were stunned, estimating about whether he was on medications or something different. At last, he was accused of DV and got hit with 10 days in region prison and 3 years probation. And after that wreck, he attempted to return in Hollywood like a rookie in any event, able to take huge compensation on cuts for a shot. Yet that boycott was serious stuff, and he just couldn't get any breaks. Things got unpleasant, and he wound up broke and destitute and needed to track down alternate ways of hustling, assuming that you get my meaning. When the photos and recordings spilled from his main fans, individuals were in dismay, thinking it was all phony. However, at that point, he dropped verification on Twitter, taking ownership of his off vocation, and his Twitter bio is another thing. Without a doubt, currently he's making some noise, saying he put him on such a profound boycott that no one in the business believed anything should do with him. Probably Diddy gave him a final proposal: either cooperate as this plaything or watch his profession fail spectacularly. However, Brasher was excessively screwed up from all the injuries to return to Diddy. Subscribe Celeb Hut for more videos.